You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the August 26, 2024 meeting of the Michigan City Historic Preservation Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
I'll call the meeting to order. We'll do roll call, please.
Joyce Dalton. Dan Granquist.
Here.
Dwayne Hurt. Absent. Lawrence Zimmer here. Amy Bowman.
Here.
Pat Matsey.
Here.
Anthony Hicks.
Here.
Greg Coulter, absent. Deb Parcell.
Here.
And Kyle Anthony Petter.
Here.
We have a quorum. If I may just say, I'm going to pass around the sign-in sheet if all the guests could sign it, and then whoever is last, return it. Thank you.
Can I have a motion for approval of the agenda, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, same. Okay. Did everyone have a chance to look over their minutes from our last session?
That's two.
I did not have a chance to complete them, so we'll have to do that next month
That's fine.
for both of the meetings.
Since we had two, we'll get everything from Larry at a later time. If you have any questions, we'll try to answer. Okay. We'll move along. Any correspondence?
No.
Okay, thank you. Then we will move to the C of A's.
All right, to the first one, we're revisiting. This one had a 30-day extension. This is 907 Cedar for the windows. So we gave them 30 days. Kyle and I went out and looked at them. We've got pictures somewhere of them. Every window in the house, except for one, is covered with a storm window. So the wood windows underneath were in very good condition. That's the house right there from the front. As you go on, you'll see it's not a real good informative shot, but you can see that most of them are covered with storm windows. And then we took a couple pictures, interior pictures. So there's a couple of the windows. There's another one. You can see the windows were in quite good shape. Actually, the frames are quite intact. That's the siding. That'll be for the next one. But the windows were quite good. A lot of them were painted shut. That can be cut open. They weren't necessarily peeling. Paint wasn't really peeling anywhere. The wood seemed to be in very good condition. I really can't say that we saw much that looked out of order at all. They looked like they were in pretty good shape. A number of them had the ropes missing that, attached to the weight so you can move the windows up and down. So that part of the functionality was not there, but that's fairly easy to fix. So I would still maintain that the recommendation denial of vinyl windows, because that is in violation of the guidelines, should be maintained.
Is there anybody representing this?
My name is Rodney McCormick. I'm here with my family member, Maurice Orr. He asked me to come down and speak on his behalf. I just want to start off by saying I'm on the urban enterprise zone, and we gave him a grant to get vinyl siding on his house and help out with windows. He has a lot of water problems. The windows don't work. The windows don't function. I just heard one of your members just stated that the windows seem like they are in working order, but I don't even think you can open up one window that was there. They said very easily fixed. It's unaffordable to fix these old windows. He cannot afford to get these windows repaired. Um, I just like to ask a question. How much will it cost? You said it's not that much to get repaired. How much will it be to get those windows repaired?
I don't repair windows. I know people who do. I mean, that's something that would have to be investigated to see what it is, but it's not the detailed restoration that a lot of these old windows call for because of the wood not being deteriorated. I would agree they don't open, but that's because they're painted shut. And they wouldn't stay open because the ropes are no longer attached to the weights, but those things are generally more of a minor thing than replacing the entire frame of the window.
How do you fix the ropes? How do you fix the counterweights to make an old window work? This is about affordability. And these are people moving, this is his home. I've been knowing Maurice for about 36 years now. This is I've never heard nothing like this. I know that you guys want to keep it looking historical over in that area. He's not changing not one size of any window. If I can just say this, if you go to 413, 410, 323, 324, that's all East 10th Street. That's it. That's less than a block radius from his home. One of the houses is right next to his home on both sides. They have vinyl windows. They have vinyl siding. They also had the porch redone and put up-to-date material that's not approved by this board. But here, he's trying to make his house to where his NIPSCO bill is not so high. He has water problems, and he comes before the board to make a change, even on 9th Street. Some more recent model houses, 323, 315 9th Street. These houses all have vinyl windows and vinyl siding. What are we doing here as a board? Are we here just to say, okay, we're not gonna let this guy do this, but all the rest of his neighbors can do it?
Excuse, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
So I just have a couple questions. You knew that you were in a historical district, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and it seems that, have you read the code? You've read
Nah.
the code on why we don't allow vinyl windows, correct? Okay, next question. When were those houses redone? The houses that you named, were they redone under this commission, or was there a different commission seated?
This particular board, no. It was done under another board prior to this. That doesn't make it here nor there, but I understand your point. When he moved, when my family members moved in over on Cedar Street, none of the boards existed. It wasn't none of this stuff here. So now he's in a position where what we gonna do? Let the house rot away, and then y'all gonna condemn the house? Why do we have to put aluminum siding on a house and try to get some windows redone, reestablished, where you're gonna probably have to take out all the frames and some of the walls adjacent to it? I'm not a professional, so I'm not gonna pretend to be one. This is a lot of work that y'all trying to ask this man to undertake, and he's trying to live every day. He's just trying to improve his house, which will improve the property value for everyone in the area.
Okay, so I just have another quick question. You said you all gave him a grant, correct, for...
That's correct.
Okay, have you explored any other grant options to repair the
No.
windows instead of?
No.
So I would just implore maybe if the commission or, could help with reaching out to different organizations that offer grants before that's just my opinion on.
That's a great point, right? This is what the board should be doing, educating, right? The board has failed to do that. I mean, if we're gonna make recommendations, at least say, hey, here's a list of contractors that will repair all of those old windows, and the average rate is X, Y, and Z. But right now, he has a situation where he has water coming in. He needs to get stuff done to the house. And like I said, he's not changing no sizes of any windows, and he don't want his house to be an eyesore no more. He wants to improve his home, and he already has the approval. He already has the money to get it done.
Sir, we did have a workshop on window repair And I'm sorry, it was advertised in the paper and it was advertised on the website. And it told about how to repair old windows, wooden windows. And then there were a couple gentlemen there that had names and could have helped.
We do have a list of
And we-
wood window repair contractors.
90% of us don't even open up the news dispatch. And a lot of us don't even get on the website. It's too confusing. A lot of us are not involved with the city to that degree. A lot of us just wake up and go to work and come home and if we want to put a new window in our house, we think we should have the right to do that, understanding that it's a historical district. Prior to that, if enforcement was being done back then, I'm sure my family wouldn't have moved over in Elston Road. This stuff just start taking over after the fact.
So you didn't go to the inspection department to find out what could be done or what was available?
No.
Because the inspection department would have told you what was required and what was needed. And I'm sorry you're laughing at this, but this is, ever since I've been on this board, there has been guidelines that have been available to anybody who comes in and goes to the inspection department. You can get a copy.
Where is that list at right now, ma'am? Do you have it right now?
No,
That's why I'm laughing. And then the other part of this is he came, he asked questions, and he shows up at this meeting. What more can he do outside of that? You sitting there. A question: how many of y'all live in Elston Grove? Dwayne's not here, but I see one person held his hand up that lives in Elston Grove. And we're not here to just anger anyone. We just want y'all to look at it, affordability.
well, you said he
People
came.
cannot afford to do, he can't afford to do the repairs to the house the way you want it to be done. It won't be done.
So
You
can I just jump in real quick?
Very few people can. Oh, okay.
I just want to jump in real quick and say that I'm fairly new to the commission. I know that a couple of us have been on the commission before, but we do have new leadership in the city. And so I would just implore everybody to be understand. I know it worked a different way for quite some time, but I would just implore you, as we work with you, that you work with us. And we are looking into ways to get the word out there better to citizens that live in the historical districts. So I would just say in this moment, after this meeting, maybe we can get together to offer those resources to you. Because again, I know that it is expensive to repair a home. I have family members that do it. And I try to offer them the best solutions possible in their situations where they may stay. So yeah, I would
I
just
appreciate your comment. I don't think current leadership or past leadership has anything to do with this. I think that this board didn't exist when my family purchased this home.
well that to that point
Yeah.
of that, yes, it may have not been around that long, but because of that reasoning, you have to look at what we were able to do in our constraints under different leaderships, under different, guidelines. So again, I hear you, and I do want to work with you.
And boards in the past, you said you've been here quite a while. Boards in the past have approved vinyl windows because people couldn't afford them. They couldn't change the size, but this board in the past has approved it.
Mr. McCormick,
Yes.
so you're concerned about cost, as we all are, but you haven't investigated the option of having the windows repaired instead of replaced. So how do you know that having them repaired is not going to be less expensive than putting in new windows?
Well, two people came out and they both said the same thing. They said, we're gonna have to take, and that's why I knew part of the wall had to come out. Depending on how bad it is, the weight, the counterweights and all that is, they both places said it's unreasonable to repair this. It's not did somebody historically live here? and they said, this is not,
So you don't have a firm number.
no, I don't have none.
Okay, so that's you're just speculating then until you have a firm number showing what the cost of repair is versus cost of replacement. I don't really think you have much of an argument here.
Well, I'm not even arguing, I'm just stating a point.
Okay, well, you can
Because
say your
as-
point,
as your-
but
as
I
your-
just stated my point.
As your fellow colleague just said, it's not expensive. I don't,
Well, we won't know.
there's no,
We won't know until you get an estimate.
I would clarify, it's not expensive in relation to average wood window repair. I know specifically of a house in South Bend being repaired right now that's a very detailed window that they're working on. They have like 24 divisions in the upper sash, the bottom is 1. So it's a very tedious project that they're working on. There's 40 some windows in the front and street facing corner side. And those windows are averaging $1,300 a piece for very large, very detailed windows that have to have everything taken apart, redone, repainted, reglazed. So I'm just saying, in comparison to that, this would be a much less repair, but I don't know specific
so at this time,
numbers.
can we ask for a continuance so we can have some people come out and give an estimate? I think this is pathetic. Me personally, I would do another avenue than to come and deal with this. But that's me. I'm really upset that my family cannot take care of his home the way that he can afford. It's not like he's kicking out the windows or hiring me to put the I know you don't want to hire me to put the windows in and try to fix them, do you know? So I'm just saying we have to do better. You have residents that's in that district who cannot afford to get the repairs done the way that you would like to see it.
We also have a lot of people that do their work on the weekend so that they don't have to do it properly. And that's been a big issue that we're trying to work through the real estate agents now, so that when you bought your house, you would be informed that it is in a historic district. And there are guidelines, and you would be given that from the realtor. So we are trying to work with the real estate agents to get that word out, especially to people who are now purchasing in the historic.
Just in case this goes to the court, I just want to make sure this is on the record. That house was purchased before this board even existed. That house was bought and purchased. None of these rules, none of these guidelines, none of these issues was even thought about. So
And you're sure,
Where
and you're sure of that?
I do have one question. Is the grant you spoke about, is that specific to only replacement windows, or could that also be used for repairs?
Just for the windows.
It's only for replacement
Now,
windows?
and you have to live in the UEZ. You have to live in the urban enterprise zone.
So you couldn't apply that money to the repair of existing windows?
Yeah, I question that. It's you're offering him a grant and he can spend that however he wants it to spend it.
I don't think he's gonna spend it however he wants it. He filled out his grant application, but I'm not gonna go. I invite you to come to the UEZ board, and I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions. But I think you fill out the grant, and he asked for a specific thing, and the board approved it based upon his request.
well, could he go back and submit another request for replacement or not for
For
repair
repairs,
instead of replacement?
He could do that. He
Which-
could do that.
might actually be less.
It could be, and it probably won't be, but I ask again, can we just get a continuance so we can get
Yes.
an estimate in here?
Only do one. You'll have,
We've already continued it once, and we can only do one.
but you could come
May I have a copy of your bylaws before I leave here today? And maybe everybody in the UEZ, maybe
They're
everybody.
online, they're online, you can
I
go
can
look.
find it. Where is it
If
at?
you go under the boards and commissions on the city website
Mhm.
and go to the Historical Preservation Commission, it's I believe the first or second link
Second.
the second link on our webpage.
Bylaws.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So, and that just means this particular COA is denied at this moment. So once you've had a chance, I mean, we can send you information on a contractor list of people that could come and look at your windows if you're interested in that.
When can we get a copy of that list? Can we have one now?
I don't carry it with me, no. It's something that we have through Indiana Landmarks. Indiana Landmarks is contracted with the city, and that's who I work for. So we have that list, but I can get that to you later this week. I'm leaving about 3 a.m. to go to Georgia for a visit with my daughter and get her car. So I can't do it tonight, but I can definitely, I will be back Thursday.
I should be able to go to the planning department and get a copy of the list, right?
It's our list. It's Indiana Landmarks.
She's talking about two different things.
Right.
You're talking about us. She's talking about who she works for.
I don't care who she works for. That's seems like a conflict of interest. I don't.
No,
I
it's
was
not
hoping
a
that-
conflict of
I was
interest.
hoping that the
or-
planning department had a copy of this, of these contractors, so we can get to it tomorrow.
So I would like to go ahead and make a motion to deny it so we can move forward with the agenda.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. So now we're going to same property. This will be for the siding. So in this instance, at the last meeting, we're revisiting a COA from previous. And so at the last meeting, we had talked about before they replaced the siding, which had been hail damaged, that we would like to see what's underneath it. So if you could bring up that slide that shows the siding. Right there is the wood. They just peeled up one piece, so it's not a very, and the bottom is starter strip. So it's really not a very good indication of what that would look like underneath. My thinking was that generally when aluminum siding has been applied to a house, before they put another layer of siding on, they generally remove the aluminum siding. And so we thought when that is off, then we'll come and take a look at the wood and see if it's something that can be worked with or not. That was the thought behind this. But they're actually proposing to use a product called Crane Board. It's from Royal Products. And it would actually be installed over the aluminum siding. And I did check the website and their warranty, and that is warranted to be installed over siding. So they make it for that. It's an extremely rigid siding. There's about 3 people that proposed that last month, and somebody brought a sample. I don't know who that was. But it is extremely rigid because there's foam insulation that's actually fused to the vinyl siding. And the reveal is very similar to the aluminum. So if you're looking at replacing aluminum, which is almost impossible to find right now, they don't make much aluminum siding. This would give a pretty similar look to what's there. I mean, to the aluminum that's there on the house. So if you're looking for a replacement in kind, this would be kind of similar. The question is though, it's vinyl fused to foam board. So for what that's worth, we're not talking about replacing to look like the wood underneath because we don't require people to bring a house back to its original look. We're always happy if they do, but that's not in the guidelines. So if you're looking for something to look like it does now, this would be fairly close. I still a little concerned about putting that extra layer of siding on because it just brings it out farther and the windows are going to be more deeply recessed. I feel like taking the aluminum off would be better, but it is warranted to install over aluminum. So I'm just giving you information.
Well, again, though, we don't have any kind of an estimate about whether taking off all this aluminum and looking at repairing and repainting the existing wood siding wouldn't be a viable option, right?
Right. No one has explored that. And I think that would be a great thing to know. And one of these applications did tell me that the insurance was not willing to pay for the removal of existing siding. But from knowing some siding installation guys, usually they're more than happy to do that just to get the aluminum and scrap it, because that usually is better than the wages for taking it off, depending on the aluminum market. But that's usually not a point of contention. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess my stand is I'm not willing to concede to this foam-backed vinyl product until we know that the existing wood siding cannot be repaired and repainted after removal of the aluminum.
Are there any questions? May I have a motion? Oh.
There's someone who else.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, come forward.
Alrighty, my name is Braden Arnett. I'm with Arnett Construction. And actually, the crane board, we would remove the old aluminum first and then install the crane board over
Much
the old wood
better.
siding. Yeah,
Good.
so you don't have to worry about it sitting over top of the aluminum.
Okay.
Restoring the wood siding, so he got approved by his insurance company to remove and replace aluminum siding, to tear all the old siding off, sand all of the siding down, repaint it. If the wood siding is good underneath, which we don't know until it all comes up, it's gonna be at least double the price of what the insurance covered to pay. And they only owe him for direct physical loss, so they will not pay any more to restore anything. They will only pay to remove and replace the siding that's existing, nothing for anything underneath.
I wondered about that because I know you can go different ways on,
Yeah.
I've got that same kind of insurance on my house because I've got a solid brick house and there's no way we could afford to insure it to be replaced exactly. So that's a good piece of information.
So I just wanted to state that kind of before you guys made any decisions or anything on that.
Okay.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, so then that product that you're recommending, the foam backed vinyl,
Yeah, so-
they will pay for that?
yeah,
They consider that equivalent to the
Yep.
aluminum?
price range, yes, it's equivalent to aluminum siding. But you can't find the aluminum siding anymore.
Right.
And we talked at the last meeting about they have a smaller profile of that, the 4-inch.
They only have they have a double 6 and a triple 7-inch profile.
Which are you suggesting they use?
If it's an 8-inch reveal on that, I would go with the triple 7, which is this right here.
Do I have a motion?
Well, I still have a question though.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So would the insurance cover, would he still get a certain amount of insurance money and then to do the repair and repainting of the existing? He would just have to cover the extra cost involved there, but he would still get an insurance payout?
That
to a
would
certain
be
amount?
something he would have to discuss with his insurance company. I can't make that decision on the insurance company's behalf.
Well, I think one other thing we got to think about too is we don't know what we're going to find
Yeah.
under that aluminum. And it could be that they removed the trim. They might have removed any decorative things that might be over the windows, window hoods. There's just no way to know until
Yeah.
you get into it.
Truly
So
don't know.
if a lot of that stuff was removed before the aluminum was installed, that could be asking a huge project, to restore all that and the wood, or it might be fine. I mean, there's
Yeah,
just
you-
no
you
way to
really
know that.
Don't know until it comes off.
Yeah.
So how can we make a determination then till we know?
Well, if you're gonna strip it all up anyway, then I think we need to take a look at it when it's all off. Can we do that?
But can they start stripping it without going forward with the entire project?
Or at least strip like
Yeah, that's-
where
once-
a
if once we
window
start-
is?
Once we start stripping it, it's at least almost 8 weeks to get the materials in. So if we strip it and leave his house wide open for 8 weeks,
Yeah, we don't want
it's
that.
exposed to the elements and that runs us in the winter time, because
Sure.
once it's under 45, 50
Right.
degrees, you can't cut siding.
So do you have a suggestion?
My suggestion is just to put the crane board tear the old aluminum off, put the crane board siding on. But that's ultimately your guys' decision on that.
Would you trim it out like the aluminum is now, which is regular J channel? or
Yeah, it's just
windows
J
and
channel
stuff?
that goes around, yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So it would keep the existing look of the house. It's not the original look, but it doesn't look original now. So yeah, it's up to you guys.
I would make a motion to allow the new siding to be gone with because it is an insurance issue and we aren't. The originality of the home has already been changed.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that and showing us.
Okay, the next one is another one that got postponed from last month. This is 614 East 10th Street. And we're looking at the same thing. This is siding. Let me pull this off. So this is Royal Haven vinyl, insulated vinyl siding. It's same product. Again, we would definitely not want to see that installed over the aluminum that's there. We did take a small piece of this came off. That's what the siding looks like underneath. So the corner looks pretty good. Again, no way to know what's up higher than that. The request was for vinyl siding, insulated vinyl siding, and then also another kind that was Royal Haven insulated vinyl siding. Also woodland vinyl siding and then board and batten vinyl siding. And I don't know the combination that they were looking at, but horizontal siding is what's recommended in the historic district, unless for some reason a house originally had board and batten, and I don't know of any of those in Michigan City. So again, we're looking at a vinyl siding replacement. If you do approve this particular siding, I would certainly recommend against the board and batten.
Is there anybody here representing 614?
I don't think we have any information on which siding goes where, do we?
No.
No. So we really have a lack of information on this.
Can I make a motion to deny pursuant to staff report?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Okay, and another one has a 30-day stay of execution here. This is the garage at 623 Pine Street. So this is the one that had the diamond design roof shingles, the asbestos roof shingles that we talked about last month. We sent them names of contractors that might be able to give them an idea of whether that can be repaired, replaced, if there's some substitution that might work. And I haven't heard back what they found out, so I can't really make a recommendation without them.
And I don't see them here tonight. So do I have a motion?
Staff indicates does not have enough information to make a recommendation. We don't have any applicant present to explain, so I move to deny.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, now we're looking at 601 East 10th Street. So we looked at this last month. They were had removed a porch on the side street facing facade. This is for siding. So the proposed project, this is a contributing building. There's the front street view from 10th Street. So they want to remove and replace the original wood siding with CertainTeed Restoration Classic Vinyl Siding in charcoal gray. This is not an insulated backer thing. This is vinyl siding. So the finding of fact, the existing wood siding should be retained, repaired as necessary, scraped and painted. If for some reason it is damaged beyond repair, you would only want to see the wood siding itself removed, not the trim or corner boards, and then replaced with a recommended siding, so fiber cement or that type of thing. So the recommendation is denial of the vinyl siding.
Is there anyone here representing that property? Do I have a motion?
Motion to deny.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, the next COA is for 817 Pine Street. This is non-contributing because it was built after the period of significance for the Franklin Street Historic District, built in 1957 and 1993. So the proposed project is installing channel letters on the building in place of an old sign. The finding of fact, the channel letters are appropriate signage on this contemporary building. And the recommended motion is approval as submitted.
Is there anyone here representing? May I have a
What
motion?
information do we have on the sign? Though I don't see where the sign is. Or...
It was in your packet in the. It's right here, Larry.
Oh, there.
Larry,
Yeah, I got it.
okay. It's the old school from St. Paul's.
So just so I'm clear, they want to add this. Okay.
And this is what it look. This is it. Kind of. They mocked it up on the building here. Is that what I'm looking at?
Yes.
Okay. And you think that looks okay?
I think it's okay for that building, yes.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Okay, 425 East 9th Street is next. That's a contributing rated bungalow in the Elston Grove district. It's built in 1928. It's a lengthy application, but the other items have been approved by staff. We're looking at the siding repair on the front gable of the home. I called the roofing company and got information on that because I didn't see it in the application. They are just replacing siding that will match exactly what's there. So same color, same material, all of that. So it will look just like it does now. So the recommended motion is approval as submitted.
No one's here representing. Have a motion?
Motion to approve as recommended.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
All right, next one is 119 East 9th Street. It's a contributing rated building and gable front built in 1887 in the Franklin Street Local and National Historic District. There's 10 parts to this project. First of all, replacing rotted existing siding, rear, east, and west sides of the property with wood siding. Repainting the entire exterior in Benjamin Moore Simply White. Replace 2 existing street-facing vinyl windows that are currently smaller than the original opening size with original-sized vinyl windows. Repair the existing non-original small west-facing side porch leading from the sliding doors. Replace the front exterior door with a mission-style front door painted Sherwin-Williams Bella Pink. Finish the front porch ceiling in wood beadboard and stain it natural. There is no ceiling currently in the front porch. Repair the front porch railing to bring to code for height. Wrap the existing 4x4 front porch posts for a more architecturally substantial look, enlarging them to about 8x8 and painting them simply white to match the house. I think you've got some pictures of what they were thinking of in the application. Scrape and paint the existing poured concrete front porch and steps, exterior light gray paint, and finally replace the existing front porch light and wall-mounted mailbox. So, finding of fact, items 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, and 10 could be approved by staff. So that's repairing kind of the siding, painting it white, replacing vinyl windows with correctly sized vinyl windows, or is repairing the porch on the west side. And 9 is scraping and painting the concrete front porch and steps and painting it gray. And then finally the porch light and mailbox. So the existing front door is not original to the house. The proposed door mission style is a slightly different architectural style than the house, but it's somewhat compatible. We would definitely want to see glass in there, and there is some glass. I would think maybe more like a half light or 3/4 light, a little more solid piece of glass, but it's somewhat compatible with the house. The pink paint color is not on the pre-approved list, so that requires your approval. Guidelines are not really firm on paint color for doors. That seems to change pretty frequently. So, porch ceiling is currently unfinished. Beadboard's a very appropriate material. The proposed porch elements and materials meet the historic district guidelines, very similar to other porches of that age. And we don't know the porch light style, as far as I know, do we? Mm-hmm. And we don't generally review mailboxes, so I took that off of here. So the recommended motion approval as submitted for 1, 2, 3, and 4. On number 5, the door, I would say that a half or 3/4 light door would be a more appropriate style for the house, but the selected door could be considered. Approval of the paint, and then approval of 6, 7, 8, and 9, and approval finally on number 10 of the front porch light with final approval by staff upon submission of the selected light.
Is there anyone here representing this property? Any other questions?
Would approval of the paint color for the door be able to be done by staff?
It could be, yeah.
It could be.
Well, no,
No.
it can't. No, because it's not pre-approved. That's right. There isn't really a color like that in the historic palette, but a front door is a tiny portion of the house, and I don't think that's hardly worth arguing about. Those colors get changed pretty frequently. So.
Do I have a motion?
I would make a motion to approve all as submitted.
Second,
I will second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Thank you.
Okay, next one is 221 West 8th Street. It's a contributing property, Queen Anne style, built in 1895. The proposed project is replacing the roof and siding. The roof has already been approved by staff, so we're just looking at the siding. Aluminum, it has aluminum siding on it, and that has hail damage. The proposed, well, we said the proposed siding material is currently unknown, but Kyle let me know what that is. I had missed that email. It is Vortex Extreme Vinyl Siding by Plygem. We were recommending the wood siding be repaired and retained as the guidelines state, and vinyl siding is not generally recommended or approved in the historic district. So, and I don't know too much about this. This was just a recent thing that I learned about, so I don't really know a whole lot about the vinyl siding, but.
Okay, and you're here to represent the property?
Yes, I'm the property owner.
Okay. And you're bringing something that to show us?
This is a sample of the Vortex.
Could you state your name and address too, please? Thank you.
My name is Gloria Burnett. I'm at 221 West 8th Street.
Do you know if this comes in a smooth finish or is it only this textured?
I'm not sure. If it's a matter of, I just want to, I do want to make the house look like it does. I'm not trying to change the look of the house. But I do want to replace the damaged aluminum.
And you'd be looking at like this,
That first one,
this
yes.
profile. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that would be interesting to know because we don't usually approve textured siding because it doesn't look as much like wood. Wood is generally smooth. So that's what we usually are looking for. So,
Okay.
but they might make that. I don't know.
And so would this be the same situation where we would ask if they could remove the existing siding and see what it looks like underneath before we make a determination?
I would say so.
Well,
I
it's
don't know.
basically the same situation as the gentleman here, where I've got the wood siding underneath and, you know, the insurance company's willing to pay for the replacement of the aluminum.
Which they don't make or hardly at
Right.
all. So, yeah.
So
Will they replace it with this?
they would replace it with the vinyl.
I have a feeling we're gonna come into this more often right now with all the hail damage that we've had. Hi Gloria, how are you?
Mimi?
So I don't know. I can understand where, Mr. McCormick was obviously, they're gonna have to deal with the siding on that property as well. So I'm assuming that most of the folks that own those homes put that siding over that wood for a reason. I mean, obviously, they didn't want to keep up with the protection and, all of the things that wood requires. But I'm kind of under the assumption that it's probably all pretty crappy wood.
Yeah,
But
it's just
that's big.
hard to
That's
say.
a
I know
big
the house
assumption.
has had some extensive termite damage too, so
Mhm.
I'll probably find that once I start taking it
As you
off.
get into it.
You know, with the aluminum, once you remove it, you can't do anything with that stuff. So it's like, so if I remove it, I'm kind of at the mercy of,
Right. Yeah. The aluminum needs to go away. No question. So then I'm not going to argue that. And that may have been replaced before it was a historic district, quite likely. I mean, aluminum siding was popular in like the 80s and
What's the alternative to this sample here?
well, we've got a number of siding types on our list, that are generally approved. So like LP Smart Side and James Hardy, those are fiber cement, a wood composite. There's poly ash, the Boral product. So there's alternative materials that are out there, but as far as price and things, I have no idea on any of that.
But she has stated that the insurance company will only cover
Well,
I'm not saying they'll only cover that type of siding,
okay.
that type of vinyl, but they will cover the vinyl siding.
so that's where I think we need to get more information, not only in your case, but this gentleman over here. I just don't know why we can just blanket be approving vinyl siding when we know it's wrong for the historic district until we know that it is really needed. So I wish that you could just hire somebody to even remove like a section or a portion so we can see what's underneath. It would give us a good indicator of what's under the rest of it. And then cover it with a tarp or something in the meantime, then until, you order your new material if that's required, or you get somebody in to remove the rest and then do the repairs and paint. And then ultimately that could save you money.
Well,
But we don't know until we
Is
know.
there a list of approved, vinyl?
No, we're trying not to
Okay.
use vinyl at all. We would like to all be wood. Because that's a historic material.
You just did.
Well, I know, but we didn't,
It's the same.
we don't
situation.
want to do it for
So if
him
you
either.
need to make a comment, you need to come forward.
But there are alternative
Right.
materials that you should consider,
In the guidelines.
based on the
that are
guidelines.
online, there's a whole table of pre-approved materials, not
So-
vinyl.
And also, I think you should find out from your insurance company, will they pay you for the replacement? And then whatever you have to spend above that is what you have to spend above that. But they should give you a payment for the equivalent amount to replace it with the vinyl. So you have that chunk of money to work with.
Okay.
Then what you do with it after that is up to you.
Honestly, as the homeowner, if I can't do the vinyl, that I probably won't do anything. It's just, I don't want to take that aluminum off and then I'm left with no options.
Well, your option would be if we take the aluminum off and we see that it is repairable and repaintable, then that's
Well, what
option
if it's
one.
not? Well,
Then if it's not, then we would probably have to make an exception with that maybe you use one of the wood products instead of the vinyl.
okay.
Those are, I mean, that doesn't mean you can't do the job. It just means we're just trying to direct you in a better direction.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of homes in the historic district that have vinyl siding. And I bought this home in 2016. There's been houses that have been replaced with vinyl siding since then. I had no idea the home was in the historic district when I bought it. So,
Yeah, but that's not an argument that we
I
accept.
mean, I know it's not an argument. I'm just telling you,
Yeah, I
you know,
know.
where
That's,
I'm coming from.
that's neither here nor there.
And we have been trying, like I stated before, to work with, because the realtors aren't telling you where you're buying.
Right, and this was
Yeah.
8 years ago,
Yeah, which wasn't that long.
you know, and the board's been in existence for
A
a
long,
long time and, you know, you're still
right,
allowing people to buy homes and they don't know.
I know.
I mean, would you agree if you walked around your neighborhood and you looked at the houses that were painted wood, that they are more attractive than a house that's covered with vinyl or aluminum?
I wouldn't agree. I wouldn't agree to that.
Hmm.
I mean, they look more historically accurate, yes, but most of them, I mean, you can see the wood is not in that great a shade. They've just painted over it.
I'm talking about a house that has maybe new wood siding or has been nicely restored. There is a big difference.
Okay. Well, I'm not.
So I have a question. So just so I understand, your insurance company gave you, like, they said they would pay for this and only this, or?
No, they gave me a list of
Okay.
what they would do.
Okay.
And the
so-
list is to replace the siding.
So I would, if to make a suggestion, would get with one of us to see what is approved on our list and then, go from there so we can try to resolve the issue for you, in my opinion. That's all I had. Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion that we ask the homeowner to explore whether the wood siding underneath is an acceptable shape to restore before we grant approval of a vinyl.
We did look at a bit of it already.
A portion.
Yeah, there was just a small. And so that portion did look, pretty decent. That's one little square on a great big house. So it's very hard to say that that's representative of everything that's underneath there. So I wouldn't go so far as to say we really know for sure.
We add to your motion that we investigate or have her investigate the insurance approval for other alternatives that are on the approved list. See,
Sure.
so just
That
find,
would be fair, see what else they might cover. And I just think that's a pretty thick vinyl siding, but it's not nearly as rigid as the one that has the foam fused to it that they had here earlier. I mean, that is super rigid.
So with the one that has the foam fused to it, would that be acceptable?
We did approve it. If that's the only thing they would cover, it would look very much like it looks now. So I think it's kind of,
It would be better for you if it had the foam behind it,
Right.
more insulation.
Yeah.
but if you could just get a list of the approved,
yeah, I would get a list of those.
submit
and
those
then
to
we
the
could-
insurance and get approval for those.
So
maybe
then-
give her 30
I was
days.
just gonna say, so
Yep.
then would we,
Okay, yeah.
so then can I make a motion to give her a 30-day continuance?
Yeah, and then we
Make a
can
Motion.
revisit that. She can get some information and we can look at that and compare it to the guidelines and see if we can find some common ground
Okay.
there.
So the list of approved materials is on the website?
It's in the guidelines. If you look at the guidelines and look at residential, and then it's under walls for whatever reason and not
Yeah,
siding.
right.
So weird wording, but they didn't ask me, so.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Same? Thank you.
Okay, next is 407 East 8th Street, contributing property in Elston Grove. It's a gable front, building 1895. And the proposed project is not siding, so there we go. It is adding entry stairs to the basement apartment, constructed using concrete with rebar, and connected to the existing sidewalk with a new concrete sidewalk. Also constructing an awning over the new stairs to match the new front awning. So, finding of fact, the new basement apartment needs access to the outside. The proposed door would be located where a basement window currently exists. So if you go back to the other picture, it's okay. So you see the house is, you've got that main part with the 3 second floor windows, and then it steps back and comes out again. So it's in that stepped back part. You see that little boarded up basement window. That's where it's proposed to put the door in. So it'll be right where that is.
Is there anyone here representing this property? Would you like to come forward and tell us your name, please?
And the recommended motion is approval is submitted with condition of final approval of the awning by staff.
Hello,
Hi. And
Mark
your-
Marsheets from 407 East 8th Street.
Okay. You have any questions for us?
No questions. We're just trying to get an entry door.
Anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I don't know if it's for you or for the staff, but so probably bring the picture back up. It would be creating the smaller part would be creating the door, correct?
Right.
Okay.
The door would
Right,
be
okay, so.
basement door, so you would only be seeing just the very top of it from the street. Similar to what it is now, because
Yeah.
the stairs is going down.
Gotcha, okay, thank you.
Okay, can I have a motion?
Motion to approve is submitted by staff.
Second?
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is 722, 724 Washington Street for paint and windows. This is a contributing rated building in Washington Street District, Queen Anne style, built around 1902. The proposed project, the first part is replacing rear and lower north side windows in the front lower windows. Repainting, and the second part is repainting the front and side of the building white. Trim would be similar to Sherwin-Williams Rookwood Sash Green and Sherwin-Williams Powder Blue. Both of those are on the pre-approved list. So if you look at the front of the house now, you can see the different colors that are there, sort of, kind of, not real well. Right now, there's red in the trim, so that's what they're proposing, painting blue. And then the green, there's green in there now, it would just be a different shade of green. So that's the project. So the finding of fact, replacement window material manufacturer is unknown. Is that still true?
Think it was renewed by Anderson.
Okay,
I think I included, I might have emailed in all the emails.
we had a lot of emails.
We did
on-
back and forth.
Sorry.
So I believe it was a renewed by Anderson. My understanding that I potentially sent it to you through the various emails, and it's possible that you might unfortunately not had the opportunity to have seen
That
it.
is quite possible. Yes. Okay. Several of the windows currently are broken in the house, particularly on the north side. There were several. Many windows, except the decorative windows and those in the rear section of the building, have already been replaced with vinyl windows. I have no idea when that happened. Before we kept records, I looked back. There are metal windows in that rear section, and some of those are extremely deteriorated, so definitely need to have something done. And the selected paint colors are from the pre-approved palette. So the recommended motion, windows approval with condition of final approval by staff, and paint approval as submitted.
Is there anybody here representing?
Hi, I'm Matthew Lynn, and I own 72224 Washington Street.
Okay. Do you have any questions for us?
The windows in the back were all wood and they rotted terribly, and mainly because the prior roofing contractor did not finish the job and let the water cascade down the back of the building, which made the windows completely
See
rot.
that in here because it's all
That's
mossy and
terrible.
gross.
Terrible.
They're bad.
And on the north wall and in the west wall, there was vandalism done to the building. 2 windows were broken and 3 air conditioners were stolen. So we're talking a lot of money.
Mhm. Does anyone have any questions?
Are we requiring then that they do the same divided lights on these windows to match the existing with simulated divided button
Yes.
bars?
I guess that's why I wanted to know exactly what we're getting there. Are you looking at replacing them with a casement style like what's there, or
It's going to be a sliding window,
a slide?
one fixed and one slider, and the grids are optional because it's in the back. When I was here a couple of years ago, there was no disagreement on doing it because it's the rear of the building and it's half covered up by a huge pine tree.
Yeah.
It's the front of the building that, and the front where the bump out is, that's going to be about the same, except for it's going to be a solid upper and lower window, not divided, because they just don't make it. And if I did make it, it would quadruple the price of a window. And right now the window bid is it's over $59,000. Yeah, just for the windows. It doesn't take into consideration the broken windows, which is another $1,800.
Any other questions?
So why did you choose sliders as opposed to just matching the casement windows?
Because the casements were 3 times the price. It would have been over $125,000 to do the back windows and the windows that were damaged by the water cascading down the back of the building. And they were the original, that building actually was built in 1888, and the porch is not the original to the building. It was added on in 1902. And so those windows were newer. And then when I bought the building in 1990, in 97, I replaced the main windows and painted it. And now it's deteriorated and the roof is being replaced again.
So what brand of windows are you?
Anderson by Renewal.
Okay, are they clad on the outside?
Yes.
Aluminum clad?
No, they're vinyl.
Okay,
They're Fibrex, actually, not vinyl.
okay.
It's stronger and will last you because I'm not going to be doing this again. The next person can do it.
If I remember right, Renewal by Anderson is a composite window. Actually, it's a vinyl and a wood like sawdust kind of stuff mixed together and then formed.
It's actually stronger and will last longer than an actual vinyl window.
That
because
is true.
There's certain vinyls that were made prior to a certain year that were real vinyl, but lately in the last 10 or 12 years, vinyl is not real vinyl. It's what I call knockoff stuff because it doesn't last very long, and it causes, in certain windows that I've owned, it causes the seals to fail.
Mhm.
And then the glass
Right.
is super
Yeah.
expensive to replace.
Yeah, that's one of the prime reasons we deny vinyl windows is because they just don't last like they
Well,
should.
it depends when they were purchased.
Right.
Because if they were real vinyl, then I've had properties where I've replaced it before 2000, and they're great. The ones that I've bought afterwards, gosh, I'm keeping some window companies in business.
So yeah, this is a composite. One thing I can say on behalf of Renewal by Anderson, they've been approved in some other historic districts in other towns that I work with. But we found that those windows in the particular way they're made and installed, there's less reduction of clear glass space than in a lot of replacement windows. So that was something we
That's why I
found to be an
chose them, 'cause
advantage.
I had 4 different companies look at it, some local, some not so local, and they weren't the cheapest.
No, they are not cheap.
No,
No.
but they looked the part.
Anyone have any questions?
And what color are the windows?
Green, what color they are now,
Okay.
you know, a dark green. What you see now is pretty close to what it's gonna be.
Just curious, how long has it been since tenants have been in there? Or have,
Since 2008.
okay, so it's exciting because I love that building.
Well,
It'd be
I
nice
do
to
too, but sadly, I took care of a parent till 4 years ago for 20 years, and my
Yeah.
mother lived in Southern California.
Oh,
So I was going back and forth 2 months here, 2 months there, 2 months. So I did it for 20 some odd
Hello.
years, and finally she passed away and at 107.
Wow.
And so now I'm trying to clean up the mess.
Come back, okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it's the first floor is pre-rented based on the fact that I
Well,
get it done.
Nice.
Get everything done.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice to watch.
Yes, I love I used to live in the building,
beautiful,
so
yeah.
yeah, it's a
I
lovely,
love
it is a lovely.
I've always admired it.
How many apartments will be in it?
Well, the first floor is commercial and there's 2 apartments above, one larger, one smaller, one 2-bedroom, one 1-bedroom. And so it's open, it could be, the larger 2-bedroom might be another commercial spot. I don't know, I've been entertaining people who keep asking me about it, but I can't do anything until it's, work finished. I don't like to commit to anything until it's done.
And you know that it's zoned to have commercial in that building?
Oh,
It
yeah.
is.
It always has.
There was a real estate office in it for many years. There were 2 different real estate offices in the lower level.
All right. Well, I make a motion to approve.
I have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
I,
Opposed, same. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have 215 East 9th Street, contributing American Foursquare, built around 1908 in the Elston Grove District. The proposed project is build a fence between the alley and the rear of the home for privacy and protection. The finding of fact, the wood fence was installed without an approved COA. The finished face of the fence is facing the property instead of the adjacent property, as the guidelines call for. The fence is over 6 feet tall, which is the maximum height. And horizontal board fencing is not recommended and generally not approved by the commission. So the recommended motion is approval of a vertical board wood fence, 6 feet tall, facing the adjacent property.
Is there anyone here representing that property? Do we have any questions?
Yeah, so what are we looking at here, Deb? What is that picture?
So that's
That
the
was
fence, which goes against every one of your guidelines. So,
Okay,
Does that face an alley?
yes. Okay. So that picture was taken from the alley.
Mm-hmm.
So fences in the historic district and probably in town, if it's like most towns I work with, the finished side needs to face out away from the house. In the historic district, the guidelines require that the boards be vertical. And the wood part, that's good. We're good with that. And it shouldn't be more than 6 feet high. So that fence needs to be denied. I certainly understand the need for a fence, and so I would recommend approval of one that meets the guidelines, right height, facing the right direction, and vertically oriented.
So how do we get that? How do we, if we deny the permit, then what happens?
Is that fence existing or is that just a mock?
It's there.
It's
Yes. Yeah, I took a picture from my car. Yeah. Last week.
It was built without any,
Out of COA because we
Right.
could have talked that out ahead of time. Otherwise,
Does it look like they'll be able to use the pieces they've already got there and just
have no idea.
Well,
correct way?
we could approve the motion submitted by staff, subject to enforcement of violation of historic district guidelines for the existing one, so that if they don't remove it, then there's penalties available.
are you making that as a motion?
We can turn it into one.
If it's a
Put that
motion,
together.
if it's a motion, I would second that motion.
Well, no, let's be clear on that though. Could you
Yeah.
restate it, Dan?
So approval of the fence as recommended by staff that meets the historic district guidelines.
You mean denial of this fence?
Approval of the new fence
Oh, the new fence, okay.
as recommended by staff and as consistent with historic district guidelines, subject to penalty for if they fail to remove the existing one and install the new one.
Should we put a time period on it?
I-
60
We
days?
put a time period and a dollar amount on it, if we wanted to decide it ahead of time. Or,
I think we need a time limit.
yeah,
So
so
we-
within, by the time of the next meeting, so that we can bring it back up and review it. So they have until then to remove the existing violating fence, install the new one as approved, subject to guidelines. And if there's a failure to accomplish that by the next board meeting, then there's a penalty of some dollar amount, $500, or some dollar amount.
I mean, I guess in that regard, maybe leave that up to the inspection department in terms of if that comes to it. In terms of,
We can. We are, but as we've learned before, we do have authorization to impose the penalty for violating the historic guidelines. But we can leave the dollar amount off, subject to further review, if there's a failure to remove and install. Is that clear enough for a motion?
And maybe to state that the maximum penalty is $2,500,
$2,500 per day per violation.
right? If we chose to enforce. it.
Yeah, as stated in the Michigan City ordinances.
Kyle, did you have something?
I would just say if we're gonna do in terms of penalties, I would I think staff would prefer or recommend that we leave that up to the inspection department in terms of citations, just to make things a little bit easier.
Yes, that was part of the motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and we've got 817 Pine Street. This is again the non-contributing building. There, this part of the COA, this is for an addition. You should have some blueprints that came with the application, the drawings. There were a couple renderings in there, of what the finished product will look like. The addition will be on the northwest corner of the building, which is not a street-facing facade. And the materials, massing, and general design is compatible with the contemporary design of the non-contributing building. So staff recommends approval as submitted.
Any questions?
Yeah, Deb, I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance to read that. Could you just explain that again?
Yeah.
What is the petition for?
Addition is for a two-story addition on the northwest corner. I think if you've got the drawing there, you see that little, it shows the,
Behind the church, this building here?
yes, and it's down, as you're looking at it, that building, it would be in the lower right-hand corner. It shows that small
Oh,
addition.
that little, oh,
Yeah.
I see. Okay, because I thought this building already exists.
Right, it does. It's just a small addition to it that faces the parking lot.
I see. Okay.
Is there anyone here representing that?
Evening.
Hi.
My name is Eric Muehlhausen. I'm with Prince Alexander Architecture from 850 South Meridian Street, Indianapolis, and I'm representing the client, North Shore Health Centers, on this addition. Happy to answer any questions you might have.
Does anyone have any questions?
One question I had, because I'm nearsighted and I don't read that really small print very well. In the application, it did mention fenestration changes. Could you explain exactly what you had in mind there?
Yeah, and I've got a couple extra. No, actually, I think what you've got makes sense. So the building itself was the old the building was the school there that closed recently, and so we need a little extra space for the program that North Shore is going to bring into the community. So that was part of the reasoning for this addition. The second part is that we don't have an elevator, so we had the option of putting an elevator inside the building, which is pretty expensive and cumbersome with the existing structure, that kind of stuff. So we put that on the outside, and we've created a new entry, a real nice two-story atrium inside that addition. And then once you go inside the building there'll be the optical or optometrist, that kind of stuff. So some of the retail components of the building, pharmacy, that sort of thing. And it's an interesting site because the front of the building is really to the center of the site, and Pine Street and 8th there are a little bit more of just kind of neighborhood pedestrian ways. So we'll have some signage that you approved previously, and then some additional signage that you can see on the addition there. But as far as the fenestration goes, there's an existing entry to the south onto, I believe that's 8th Street. And that is going to go away because we really want to focus all of the people coming into the building to the main entry. The two existing exits to the alleyway in between the church and the school building, and then out to the east. So east or west, those will remain. And then there's the service entry on the east side of the building as well. That'll all stay there. So the only exiting change would be the south entry or exit. And then by nature, where there's windows facing the north and we're putting the addition, those go away. Everything else stays the same.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Sure.
Are you keeping the playground?
The playground is going to be donated elsewhere. We're working with folks somewhere else in the community to move that. We need a little bit additional parking. Later on, there'll be some civil engineering that comes through that shows all of that.
Good, good. Yes, yes. Any other questions?
I have a question. So in terms of materials, the ephes that will stay?
The ephes on the building, except for where we're putting the addition, that does stay. Yes.
It will be repaired, replaced?
That's not in our scope. We're considering that a deferred maintenance. I do believe that the owner is interested in refreshing the whole building, which we can talk about if that would need a approval. And we're not taking it off.
Okay.
Any other questions? May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same? Thank you.
Thanks for your support. Appreciate it a lot.
A lot of work.
Yeah. Okay. So we have one more that somewhere, again, got lost in the emails. This month had many, many, many emails. And so we have 717 Washington Street for roof and siding. And on the version of the agenda I printed out, that was not on there. So I think this is at
717
least,
Washington is down here.
it is for the roof,
Yeah,
but for the siding,
yeah.
I don't have it on my version.
No.
I ended up splitting it once I realized the different parts. I didn't originally realize that the siding was on there until I looked through it again, and then I realized that that was something that I had forgotten to approve for the reason that I can't approve replacement of siding when it's a change in material, because currently it is a aluminum siding and what they're proposing is a vinyl siding.
Again.
Yeah.
So,
Vinyl.
yes. So he's gonna go get some pictures because yeah, I think this is the third version of the agenda that I'm aware of. And apparently there's a fourth version that I didn't print out. So it's coming.
I think this is the most we've ever had in one meeting. Not
So,
only that, but all the maintenance reviews, the
yeah,
COA.
this makes 28 altogether, 14 for me and 14 maintenance reviews for Kyle. So, yeah. I'm very thankful the new guidelines allow for a lot of staff approval, and God bless him, he does a great job of that. So that part's good, but this is a lot, you know, so.
And if we could not have any more hail.
Please pray for that.
Year.
Because that has really increased the workload. I forget how many, the building department, he said, has had
It's
permits
unreal.
for roofs. It's over 1,000 this year.
Just in my neighborhood, they're up on the roof today, and I'm thinking, as hot as it was, they were up on the roof.
And those are the permitted ones.
Yes, goodness only knows how many others.
Right,
Yes.
right.
So, yeah.
And just for an update on the one where the gentleman was going to tear down the back and ended up, they are cleaning up the lot now finally. So he did come and get what he was supposed to get. So that hopefully for the neighbors will. I bet you did. Did you want to be an attorney too?
Terribly, no, Danny.
Actually, I think Kyle left the building.
Yeah. I talked to the neighbors.
Oh, well, good, good. Several of them came up and talked after the meeting. And I don't blame them.
We actually had an unpermitted roof happening in my neighborhood, and the whole neighborhood descended on them.
Oh,
We took care of the problem.
well, good for you. Good for you.
You know, one thing I have to say about the whole Elston Grove, is I would like to know when Elston Grove was established as a historic district and
1987.
1987. Okay. So you should definitely know that you're moving into a historic district in the 80s.
Well, the young lady that was going to go to well, I guess she has gone to a realtor's meeting and expressed that. But whether they got paperwork for that or not, we don't know.
But just like Gloria said, she bought it only 8 years ago.
Right. but she
Nobody
didn't
gave her
know.
any
No.
indication of what she was getting into. But, you know, even then, if he was saying that he's been there before the historic district was established, then all those folks that lived in that district made that happen, did they
Right.
not?
Yes.
Okay, that's where I was going.
Right.
Right.
It became a historic district because of the citizens of that
Right.
neighborhood wanted it to
Right.
be
Mhm.
that way.
Right.
So just wanted to point that out.
And like I said, after the last meeting, some of them, they're gonna paint their house, painting it the same color, and they already knew they didn't have to come before us.
Do we know who the alderman, I mean, the alderperson is that the right word? Council person is for those districts? Is it one person or is it more than one?
I feel like it's just one. I think it's District 1.
Is that
think so.
Greg?
Who is it?
I don't know if it's Greg. No,
I don't think it's
I don't think
Greg.
it's Greg.
Okay.
I mean,
I
Greg,
think it was
Greg is on our board.
Right. I just don't know who that council, Kyle, do you know who the council person of the historic districts is?
Actually, I don't.
Well, we'll find out.
Well,
I know who it
my
was, I
point in
can't
saying that is, I wonder if we could get all of us and maybe a little bit more community pressure and make some appearances and make some public comment at some of the council meetings and start helping them understand what we're up against, that we're trying to create a beautiful historic district and people can't afford to do it the way it needs to be done correctly. And so I'm wondering if there's some vehicles of funding that could be opened up for people, maybe it's just paying the difference between vinyl siding and really good wood siding. Maybe they could just pay the difference or in grants or whatever, I don't know, but we have to figure this out because this is a major roadblock for us. And if we keep compromising our values, we're not going to have a historic district. It's just going to look like any other neighborhood in the city.
Mhm.
And it's not going to be special. It's not going to help economically for the city. It's not going to help property values. It just doesn't help anybody. So I don't know where we go with this, but in addition to getting the word out, we need to start making more of a fuss to the city council because there's all kinds of there's all these options for funding that I think we need to start tapping into some way and figuring this out because these people need help. We want them to have help. We want it done properly. I'm sure they would like to have it done properly, but everybody is saying we can't afford it. We can't afford it. So let's figure out a way to help them afford it so that we can have a real historic district that means something and looks beautiful that we can all feel proud about and would help the city, financially, economically. It's a tourist draw. Think of any city in America that has a historic neighborhood and they're a big tourist draw. So I don't know. To me, it's something we just need to be working on.
I think if we all think about it, we could maybe get together and some of us attend the next meeting and have something that we can propose to the city council. If that's
Sure.
agreeable with everybody. All right, I'll get something out and we'll plan on that.
And then maybe we could get some of the people from the historic district to come too.
Oh, I'm sure we,
Voice their opinions. Just say,
I mean, last meeting. we
those
had
darn
quite a-
people on historic preservation are wanting me to do these expensive windows, but I can't afford them.
Right,
But we're saying that they're the right thing to do. They make a difference. Windows and siding make a difference. We've
Well,
got to do it.
we had enough people come forward at the last meeting that I'm sure they would attend, so I'll work on that.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
So Kyle's got a picture of another thing yet, but I wasn't sure what we were getting. 717 Washington. I'm not understanding. It looks like a brick building when I pull it up on Google. What are we talking about?
Yeah, so no, this has to do with
Well, what,
712. So this.
so
this
what
is-
about this?
Okay, so let's
We need to
address
do-
this.
We need to deal with.
Let's
this.
address this first and then
Right,
then
then
we-
he's got the
then
light,
he'll
so,
go.
yeah. So 717 Washington looks like it's brick. So where's the siding?
So the siding is actually on the back. So at some
Oh.
point there must have been an addition potentially.
So it's, the back is sided.
Which you can't see
No.
other than if you were to walk up the alley.
Okay.
Otherwise, you would not know that there's siding anywhere on the building because essentially the three other sides that face the street, all brick. But on the alley that I don't remember what side it's on, but it runs along. It's between 717 and then its next door neighbor. There's an alley there as well as there is an alley running along the back. And
Okay.
only from the alley can you actually see the siding. Is that correct?
Yeah, from the alley in the back parking lot, yes.
And so this is aluminum siding, same thing we had on Cedar, proposing the same
Yes, ma'am.
crane board. Okay, so same thing. Fourth, fifth verse, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so I don't see any different here. Actually, this is not even visible from the street, so. We approved one before. I don't
Yeah.
really see why there's a problem with this one.
We have a motion.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you guys. Have a good evening.
Now,
Yeah.
we're going to get to the lights at the old library.
Yes.
But this is not on the agenda and we're not voting. on
Correct.
this,
This
right?
is
This is just
inform-
information,
Mhm.
because we just received the COA on Friday.
So he will come in front of us next month for your approval. So this is purely for providing your recommendations. He'll take those recommendations. And then next month, he'll present his entire case.
So these are there's 4 of these existing lampposts throughout that yard that they're out by the street and by the sidewalk. There's 2 existing that are on the steps. I don't know if there's a picture of that. But the 2 lampposts that are there, somebody else installed and you guys don't want them, which I understand. So the original ones aren't around. I don't even know what they would look like. But what we're proposing is a version of those at 7 foot high to match, so that basically everything would match. And there's other pictures of what I found that would match that. And you gotta kind of use your imagination because they don't come all in one package. Because that's the closest globe we found to match what was existing. And then the picture behind that one, we can get rid of that one. Yeah, that one. That shows the base. It has the bronze, the copper looking bronze fluted base and the fluted post that's 7 foot high. So it'd be a shorter version of those, but they would all match across as close as we can get it to across the building. That's what I'm proposing.
Okay. Any questions? I think you've done your homework.
Well, I tried.
We appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay.
I have a quick question. Would the ones that you're getting the new globe for, would you use that on the existing ones and replace the existing ones so they're all matching identical?
We could certainly do that because there are a couple that are broke.
Oh.
They're not visible. They're not badly broken, but they're cracked, and we could certainly do that.
Then they'd be all identical.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, what kind of bulb goes in them?
That's a good question. I don't know. I haven't climbed up on a ladder to see. Probably an old school halogen bulb, big halogen bulb.
Okay. So if they're going to be LED, just keep in mind the color temperature so that they don't look that white, industrial look.
Or that blue look. They got a warmer look.
Warm.
Yes, I get it.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
What was your name?
Chuck Donlin. I have one other. I had submitted another one for 312 East 9th Street.
That will be reviewed next month. I have it. They have none of them have seen the porch yet.
Okay. But I mean, that one was submitted before that one too.
Correct. I just felt like this one was a little more urgent.
Well, they're both urgent, but okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
end of COAs for the ones you need to review. So rest are maintenance reviews.
Do you want me to go through all the maintenance reviews, or I don't know what time it is now, but
No, we
Yeah,
did
You
not.
did, are they all approved or
yes, all of them are approved.
and based on meeting the guidelines
Correct.
that authorizes the staff to review?
Correct.
And we take this staff at your review
At your word.
level?
I mean, you can read them yourself.
Yeah.
And
So
why
I
would we not trust you?
I don't know. I don't know.
Thank you. Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Okay. Then if we go to the other side, any committee reports?
What does number 7 mean? Certificates of appropriateness in progress.
So, kind of last month, we had a few that we were going to review. We didn't necessarily have any to review per se, but I kind of left it on there if any of you had seen any COAs that were in progress that you wanted to address. It's something that I think we're probably going to keep on just so we can kind of talk about projects that are in process that we've noticed.
So it's just an agenda item.
Correct.
In the event that there is something that falls within that.
Right.
Will we know in advance or will they be listed?
It will be,
If
it will,
there is something?
if there, yeah, if staff determines something, or if one of the commission members was to let me know to put something on that they noticed, then I would put it on on the agenda.
Okay. Any old table business that needs to come before us? Any new business?
I have a question. Bob Lake, 613 Franklin Street, or we were talking about 621 Franklin Street. He's got some plans going on. I'm not sure what he's going to submit yet, but he's been talking about the side of the building and putting some not bump outs, but doors.
Okay.
Are overhead doors, would those be approved on the side of the building because you can see it on 7th Street? Probably not. That's what I was saying. Let me ask that question before you go through the whole motion of getting that drawn up.
Back of the building, yes. Front of the
Not the
building,
side.
no way.
Yeah.
Side of the
Right.
building, probably not.
Because
if
it's gonna be, it's
visible.
exposed on 7th. It's gonna open up onto the green space on 7th.
Yeah, we just don't
Franklin. Okay.
generally approve
All right.
roll-up doors where they're visible.
Right.
And he's not planning on doing anything with the Franklin facade, right?
No, nothing on the front. He was just,
But that's the worst part of the building.
well, it's because they want to use that green space as their plaza. So the city wants to use it as the plaza.
Mm-hmm.
So he's thinking about having storefronts open out that way onto.
Oh, no, I understand that. I'm talking
Yeah.
about the facade.
Facade. No, he has no plan on doing anything with that right now.
The only kinds of windows or doors I could see being appropriate is if they're, if he could get doors that look like steel casements that are divided in that rectangular proportion
Right.
that you would see in on a traditional French door.
Because the fellow that's doing where the Oriental Pearl, is he going to do something similar, like on the side? He's got you know what I'm talking about? That big door on the side. Anyways.
My understanding was he was going to make it kind of look like a mini storefront.
Okay.
With having
A door,
and
and then
then
two sides. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all right. Okay. Good to know.
Any other questions or comments?
Just
Yes, so I attached within your packet, it should be at the end. So with the 11th Street train station, and working with NICD, we, part of the agreement is that there will be, panels. One panel in the Franklin Historic District, and one in Elston, laying out the history of those different districts. So what is attached is what is being proposed. If you do approve it, what it essentially is the history of the Elston district as well as the history of the Franklin Street Commercial District. And these would be put on plaques that you have already approved the locations. Now it's approving what is written, and then I think at the end, then it will be approving potentially the final design with once the pictures and everything have been added, then the final design.
So this is what is being proposed as to what it would say?
Yes.
Okay.
But we don't know what the design of the plaques is yet?
Correct. Just what is written is what we have so far.
So I assume somebody researched this and it's all factually correct?
Yes, I put a lot of time into it.
Oh,
Actually,
you
but-
did this?
Yeah,
Oh,
but it's okay.
All right, no, I'm just.
So it's actually, yeah,
All right.
as far as I know.
Are we just being asked for an informal approval? I mean, we don't have jurisdiction over text matters. We don't know the history, and wouldn't this be something the city council would approve?
No, I don't think so.
With it being in the historic district, they felt it was under your purview, not, I mean, because it's being placed in the historic district, it falls under your rules of if you're okay with what is written.
I'm wondering, Kyle, did Bruce Johnson review this? He's the county historian. I'm wondering if maybe.
I don't think he did actually. I think it's mostly just been Nick D, and then staff so far. But I mean, we have no. I mean, I don't think staff has an issue with if Bruce would like to review it.
I would just like to add to that as well that yes, I would feel comfortable not questioning.
No, not at all.
But you know, let the city historian review it, and then at the next meeting maybe we get the final approval.
I know he wouldn't object to it.
I know it's the county historian.
Oh,
yeah. Bruce Johnson works at the LaPorte County Historical Museum.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
Anyone have any questions or comments about what they've read? And if you have a chance and you find something, we can always email it to Kyle.
I didn't have a chance to read it or review it, but just skimming over it, is there a reference to the establishment of the historic district, not just the history of the neighborhood, but the fact that it is a historic district subject to?
I mean, the last sentence talks about its National Register designation, but it doesn't include the adding it as a local district.
And my suggestion would be to include some reference so that this is another way, by way of plaque in the community, to say this is a historic district, Elston Grove or whatever.
And when it was
And
established.
it's subject to historic review guidelines. I mean, some comment to that effect, so help get the word out.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Okay, anything else that we need to bring up?
We did talk about having a public workshop about tax credits and grant opportunities and things like that. I reached out to Kurt Garner to talk about that, and he said that would have been part of the preservation plan if we'd have done that. So since that's kind of on hold at the moment, that's not a path forward with Kurt, but I did talk with Todd this afternoon, and he said he would be willing to do that over the winter, maybe February or so, when people are bored and need a place to go. He would be glad to do that himself. He helped Kurt give that presentation in LaPorte, and well, he's pretty good at talking on that stuff. So he'd be very personable, and he makes it interesting. One question he did have, I told him we were thinking of a Saturday, and he wondered if there would be any consideration of doing it of an evening. And I didn't know how you felt about that, or if you think you get more people on a Saturday or.
Well, we've had some evening meetings, some of your, what do you call them, workshops, roundtables, or something there.
Right. I
Couple
don't know.
of us have gone.
Trying to get the public in, if that's a good time or if Saturday morning is a better time. I don't know.
I think a Saturday morning would be a better time than the evening on a Saturday.
Especially when we're into the winter.
Yeah.
Doesn't Elston Grove have an association?
Yes, or they did a
Maybe
few
we could
years.
partner with them and do the presentation at one of their meetings?
That would be good. Once upon a time, I went and spoke at one of their meetings about historic districts, and I don't know if that contact person is still part of the group. I don't know.
I can talk to Martha Most. I know she's.
She's the president right now.
And that's
She's
the one we need to talk to.
Yeah.
She's the president
All right.
currently.
Martha.
Yeah, see if they'd be interested and then be thinking about when's a good Saturday.
Amy, could you find out when they do meet?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, do we have any public comment?
Rodney McCormick, 617 Union Street, Michigan City. I learned a lot in a very little amount of time. First of all, I cannot find your bylaws nowhere. Maybe somebody can point me out to that after this meeting is over with. Most of the boards in our city, you get appointed by the mayor or the city council or whatever. When you sit on these boards, you don't answer to the mayor of this city. You don't answer to any council members. This board should be answering to the historic districts residents that live there. I'm just seem confused because I look at the Muni Code says one thing about how people should live in certain districts. I think it's sad that we don't have more members who live in Elston Grove on this board. I just don't see how it just don't seem right to have outsiders coming into your neighborhood telling you what you should and should not do. And just briefly, when you take all these things in consideration about remodeling homes and all that, look at the income of the people that's trying to get it done. And if you guys want stuff to look a certain way or be you want it done by a certain person or whatever, at least have a list of people that they can go to. I don't know what authority that some people acted on to go to my relative's house and go inside of it. Stuff that I read, you don't have the authority to go into nobody's house. He didn't know that at the time, but it won't happen again. But there's a way to do things and there's a way not to do things. And yes, being partners with people that live in the district and maybe getting workshops that benefits that will be better for the time of the people that live in there instead of better than the time that you want to have the meetings will serve the residents of the historical district way more than your individual thoughts.
Thank you.
The people that's inside those districts should have some say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think he should be done.
I would just like to point out that
Sir,
I think you're being so inappropriate. I think you're being inappropriate.
I didn't go past 3 minutes.
I would just like to say that I am a resident. I am a renter. I own a business in the district, and I have been in the business in that district since 2015. And I know that it's a business that's in a historic district. Goodbye.
I also would just like to still point out that bashing the committee or the commission for how we operate is not helpful. We are all still human. And I do appreciate the commission for upholding the laws of the city ordinance of Michigan City. As a person who has studied history, I do think it is important that we preserve that history, and that we have the authority to uphold that history without being chastised, talked about in a demeaning manner. So thank you all.
Thank you.
And I believe we all were appointed by the mayor or somebody from this, and we do all answer to that person, sir.
Anyone else?
Good comments?
I will share with you the website that we're referring to. Yeah, it is. And I was just gonna say after the meeting.
Okay,
I'll be
sir.
glad to- I'll be
Okay.
glad to share.
Yeah, right.
Historic districts are authorized by state statute.
Right.
The state of Indiana has established a public policy that says the historic district regulation provided in this chapter of state law is intended to preserve and protect the historic or architecturally worthy buildings, structures, sites, monuments, streetscapes, squares, and neighborhoods of historic districts. It's a public policy of the state of Indiana. The state of Indiana has statutes in the Indiana Code Title 36, Article 7. So anybody can look up the state statutes and be familiar with that. There are statutes, there are guidelines, there are rules that the state has that the historic district, our own commission follows. In light of that state statute, that state policy and authorization, the city of Michigan City back in 1987 passed the historic district ordinances. There's a whole section there. It's all publicly available at eMichigan City. It's easy to find the code, the ordinance, code of ordinances for the city. And in chapter 62 is the section on historical preservation. So there's all the rules and regulations there. And that's what authorizes us to have the jurisdiction to make these determinations for the good, for the benefit of the community. And some people may not know, but we do not get paid for this. So we're up here because we care about the community, we care about historic preservation, and all we're trying to do is help the community as a whole, the residents individually, in their effort to maintain their property. But the residents are accountable for knowing what the state and municipal laws are. So if anybody watches this after the fact or listens, please take note. If we get the plaques in the district, that's one way. We've tried many different ways to get the word out. But when we see so many applicants come before us and say they know they're in a historic district, there's no reason why they can't contact the city, someone at the city, planning department, code department, mayor's department. People can find out. So they have individual accountability and responsibility to know. So we should help encourage that, and to the extent that's reasonable, enforce that. We're here to help them. We work with them over and over again. But like Commissioner Zimmer said, we can't keep giving exceptions over and over. Otherwise, we're going to lose the historic district. We don't want to make it onerous. We want to find ways to work with them, with the people there, and care about them. But it's for their benefit, like some of the articles we've written, and the benefits to the community is helping improve and maintain the value of their properties and so forth, whether it's commercial, whether it's residential. We have these for the city, so we shouldn't be questioning our desires to help do that for the community. So I've got the statutes here, the ordinances here, and there's many things. I'm not going to take more time to go through it now. Deb needs to get going down the road here. And I just wanted to make that initial comment.
But we appreciate that. And
That's good.
maybe we could make copies for everyone to have.
Well, sure,
Okay.
I can email it out.
I mean, it's also available
It's right
on
online.
Municode.
MichiganCity.org, I think.
Mhm.
Just click government. So right there in the middle, it says Code of Ordinances.
Mhm.
Click on it, boom, it's right there.
Or you can just type in historic preservation
Oh.
on the search and it will come up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very simple. I can email it out.
Does anyone else have any comment? May I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second, good job on the way.
Aye.
Thank you.